Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Before I Fall, starring Zoe Deutch and directed by Rai Russo Young. This film is what a lot of people are calling Groundhog Day meets Mean Girls, where this young woman who's in high school relives the same exact day over and over leading up to her death in a car accident. And that's basically the sense of the movie and her trying to figure out why she's reliving this same day over and over again. In terms of directing, Russo Young does actually a pretty good job of balancing recutting the same scenes over and over again, giving different perspectives, and actually uses a great deal of sound to help make connections between like timing and giving you a sense of where you are. And she actually did a really nice job of balancing this movie, keeping up the pace. I never felt bored during this, and it felt like a natural progression getting to the point where you finally figure things out. And up to even looking at it visually and how they overlay reliving the same moments over and over again, I thought she did a very nice job of putting this film together. And the big thing is this film is led by a female lead, directed by a female director, and written by a female screenwriter, Maria Magenti. Now, when it really comes to where this film faults for me, it is in the actual story and how this comes about. I was really like the first part of the film where you're first living out this day with the main character. I'm not a teenage girl. I was never a teenage girl. I didn't hang out with a whole lot of teenage girls, so I didn't relate to what was going on as well. And I'm like, is this realistic? I'm going to take it for granted here that this is how teenage girls actually interact with each other. But you get a real sense of this girl's life based off of that one day, and I thought they did a nice job of showing that. And over the course of reliving these different days and these different details and everything, I thought that progressively throughout this film, as you relive it, and off the bat, the main character, played by Zoe Deutch, is not doesn't have a whole lot of depth, like stereotypical teenage girl. But then, as these days keep reliving themselves, you really pull back the layers and see a really interesting character and really interesting growth. And I'm like, oh, this film's turning out a lot better than I thought it would, and I was actually getting really into the film. In terms of a lot of the characters, there's a few particular characters that get fleshed out a little bit, but overall, this is really the main character, Zoe Deutch's character's movie, and her progression and her dealing with all these other characters. One of the things I really liked was slowly through different perspectives you get bits and pieces of layers being pulled back on different characters, and by the end you have an interesting perspective on a bunch of the different characters that you meet along the way, and slowly but surely getting a little more depth to them. And I thought that was really interesting, and it was slow to begin, but it started getting there, and then the ending happened. I hated this ending. I walked out and just like almost laughed. I'm like, wow, they really went there. I'm not going to spoil what happens, but this is one of those films, at least from how I felt, that ending undid everything that happened before this and completely made the rest of the movie pointless. And I'm just like, wow, you wasted this. This was actually going in a good direction and you just screwed it up. And that was really disappointing. In terms of character, like the performances, the main actor in this film is Zoe Deutch, and I've seen her in more and more films as of late, and I really, really like her. And she did a fantastic job portraying this character, and you slowly saw her bring some nuances to the character and do different things throughout the film. She did a fantastic job and really carried this and really elevated this story, because if that leading performance wasn't that good, this movie would have felt flat a lot throughout the most of it before the ending that ruined it. But in terms of music, it was really heavy-handed. I felt like a lot of the music choices, but they did what they're supposed to do in setting tone, so I guess it did its job, but it was a little over the top. Cinematography, which was done by Michael Faminaria, was I really liked it, and I thought there were some cool shots they did with things, and different ways that they shot overlapping days and choosing different shots from different angles and different perspectives for when they did the same scene, so it wasn't just like, wow, you're reusing the same shot. No, you see it from a close-up of somebody, but you and like I mentioned before, the sound's really used well in this film. You're looking at a close-up of a scene you've already seen before, but looking at a close-up of a character reacting to the scene you already know what's happening based off of particular sounds and what was set up from them. And I thought that was really cool. I enjoyed this for the most part until the end, and it felt like, why'd I waste my time watching this? And that made me really disappointed. I was pretty upset at the when I first walked out. I'm like, wow, this was really bad. I've come back a bit, which is why I don't like doing reviews literally right after I see a movie. I was originally going to give this film a D after how badly the ending fell apart for me, but there's too many good things in it for me to give it that bad of a grade. I'm going to give it a C minus. Hey, the ending might work for you, and that's the beauty of film, that it's so subjective and things might work for you that don't work for others. But for me particular, if you see this movie and you see the end, just think about everything else that built up to that and how that really affected what actually happened. So if you just want to go see a movie and don't mind spending an hour and 40 minutes, and this is definitely geared towards younger audiences like teenagers, mostly teenage girls. If you're looking for a movie and you want something that's going to be very relatable to you, this might be more of your thing. For me, watching this as a 20-something-year-old man, movie fell apart for me, but I would recommend it if this is your kind of thing. Give it a try.